Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for this joint committee with the Committee on Public Safety, Intergovernmental and Military Affairs, and our good friends from the Committee on Water and Land. We have a number of two items on this 3 o'clock agenda here in room 225 on this Wednesday, March 20th at in the state capitol. For those who are testifying, we're going to limit your testimony to 2 minutes, and this entire hearing is being streamed live on YouTube. If we have any kind of technical difficulties and have to forego this hearing, we will put public notice on to let you know when we would reconvene. But thankfully, it has not happened this session or last. So we have great technical geniuses behind the scenes. We want to jump into our first measure. It's House Bill 2174 HD1 relating to search and rescue. For our testifiers, we have Michael Vincent from the Department of Law Enforcement has submitted testimony in support. B. McClintock, Jacqueline Ambrose, Lynn Matasao, and Keone Shizuma have all, as individuals, submitted testimony in support. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2174 HD2? If not, members, unfortunately, no one to ask questions of, so I'm going to hand it over to my co-chair, Senator Inoue, for the next measure.
Thank you, Chair, for HB 1841 House Draft 2 relating to the Department of Land and Natural Resources. And this is appropriates funds to DLNR for operating expenses, as well to support wildfire emergency responses. DLNR. Robert. Aloha. Good afternoon.
Chairs, vice chairs, committee members. I'm Rob Hoff with DLNR, Division of Forestry and Wildlife, and the department strongly supports this bill and is available for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, members, if there's any questions, please feel free to ask them when they're up here as well. Okay, let's see, Nahilani Parsons. Okay. Care for Aina Now Coalition. In support, Duration individual, are you on Zoom?
They're not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, Sense Communication in support, Nature Conservancy. In support, Hawaiian Electric. People in support, Democratic Party of Hawaii, Chris Copeland. Caulfield in support, Lee Hong, Leah. And that's the Trust for Public Land. We do have 3 other testifiers. One, Pamela Tumpak, Sense Communication with Comments, and 2 other individuals, Jan Mather and Caitlin Hooper. Is there anyone else wishes to speak to HB 1841, House Draft 2? Feel free to come up, otherwise we'll say aloha and we'll go back to the joint hearings.
Okay, we're going to take a brief recess prior to taking the vote. Thank you for your patience. We're reconvening the Committee on Public Safety, Intergovernmental and Military Affairs, and our good friends from the Committee on Water and Land for decision-making on this 3 o'clock agenda. For House Bill 2174 HD2, members, we've heard similar bills, and this just is another opportunity for us to have consequences for those who go on trespassing in trails or go on closed trails, and us as taxpayers having to foot the expense. This bill would put the expense for that rescue on the individual who is violating some type of trespassing or going where they shouldn't be going. So the chair's recommendation is to, both chairs have conferred, and the recommendation is to pass this measure with an amendment. The amendment is simply to defect the date to July 1st, 2042. Any discussion? If not, Senator Elefante, I vote yes.
Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments HB 2174 HD2. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes. Senator Wah is excused. Mr. Chair, recommendations adopted.
Thank you.
For the Committee on Water and Land, same recommendation to pass with amendments on HB 2174. Committee on Water and Land, any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendations to pass with amendments HB 2174 HD 2. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Chang.
Aye.
Senator McKelvey.
Yes.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, for the committee has confirmed on HB 1841 House Draft 2. Chair's recommendation is going to defer. There's a measure that the Senate version has passed earlier to provide resources to the wildlife mediation agency, or not agency, but a group. And I believe that it's a partnership that they do want to work on mediation throughout the state with regards to government. And I think so far, I think that's the best agency to send, or private group, because that's what they do full time. So Chair is recommending that we defer this measure. Okay,
Okay, we
Thank
adjourn
you.
with this 3 o'clock agenda.
thank you very much.
Will the Committee on Public Safety, Intergovernmental and Military Affairs please come to order? It is Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. It's 3:01. We're in conference room 225 at the State Capitol. Some housekeeping announcements. We welcome our committee members and members of the public seated in the room as those joining us on Zoom. For all testifiers, including those on Zoom, we ask that you stand on your written testimony. If your oral testimony is different from your written testimony, please note that the time limit is 1 minute. The content, including the hearing notice, copies of the bills, and testimony can be found on the legislature's website. The live video stream and archive of this hearing can be found on the Senate's YouTube channel. Decision-making will occur after we hear from all testifiers. If there's a technical failure, we will resume this hearing in this conference room on Friday, March 29, 2024 at 3:01 p.m. First two items up on the agenda are SCR 48 and SR 36. This is urging the Department of Law Enforcement, fire departments, and police departments of each county, humane societies in each county, and media organizations throughout the state to collaborate to create and disseminate public service and announcements to highlight the dangers and advocate against the use of illegal fireworks in order to protect the health and safety of the community, pets, and wildlife. For these two measures, for SCR 48, we have Robert Hoff from DLNR.
Afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, committee members. The department supports this bill and just notes that most wildfires in Hawaii are started by people. So anything that we can do to change people's behavior should be pursued. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And for SR 48, we have Lynn Matasau in support. That's all the testifiers I have on SCR 48 and SR 36. Anyone in the audience or on Zoom wishes to testify on these two measures? Okay, members, questions? Okay, if not, we'll move on to SCR 109 and SR 91. This is urging the United States Congress to adopt the Social Security Act 2100 Act. Listed to testify, we have Chris Caulfield from Democratic Party of Hawaii in support. And for SR 91, we also have Chris Caulfield testifying for Democratic Party of Hawaii in support. That's all the list of registered testifiers. Anyone in person or on Zoom that wishes to testify on SCR 109 and SR 91. Okay, if not, members, no one to ask questions of, so we'll move on to SCR 95 and SR 81. This is encouraging the United States Congress to pass the Nurture Originals, Foster Art, and Keep Entertainment Safe Act of 2023, No Fakes Act, and the No Artificial Intelligence, Fake Replicas, and Unauthorized Duplications Act of 2024, No AI Fraud Act. And registered to testify, we have Randy Swindell from testifying from the Hawaii Ports Maritime Council, NTD, AFL-CIO in support. Randy Pereira from the Hawaii State AFL-CIO in support. Maricia Palma Elmore testifying for SAG-AFTRA Hawaii Local. Hi, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Marisha Palma Elmore, the Executive Director of SAG-AFTRA. Thank you so much for taking time to hear this reso. It's really important to us, this issue. And I am standing on my testimony, but I'm also here for any questions regarding this. And it's in my mind, a good start. You know, this reso, I think, is a good start as far as opening the conversation for something that seems like it's just come out of nowhere. But I was just thinking about AI and how I use it every day. You know, I use it to drive in on the GPS and everything else that we do. But with regards specifically to actors, artists, performing artists, in the actual bills, they list out some very recent events where unauthorized use of this technology, which can be technology for good, has really harmed artists and also regular people too. So thank you so much for taking time to hear this, Rezo.
Thank you, Marisha. We have Henry Ian Cusack testifying for SAG-AFTRA in support. All the following individuals are in support: Patrick Max Weisberth in support, Shireen Bells in person or on Zoom. Yeah, I don't see Shireen. Scott Schwartz in support, Kaela Kaulia in support, and Irish Barber testifying for IATSE 665 in support. That completes our registered list of testifiers on SCR 95 and SR 81. Anyone in the audience or anyone on Zoom that wishes to testify on these two items? If not, members, questions? Okay. Not brings us to our last two items on the agenda, SCR 197 and SR 169, which is urging state departments to require households impacted by the Lahaina fires to exhaust their insurance policies before requesting financial support from the state. I don't believe we have anyone that has registered to testify on this. Is there anyone in Zoom or in person that wishes to testify on these two items? If not, we will call for a recess, short recess. Reconvening the 301 agenda on the Committee on Public Safety and Intergovernmental and Military Affairs. First, start off with SCR 48 and SR 36. Chairs, this is urging the Department of Law Enforcement, fire departments, and police departments of each county, humane societies in each county, and media organizations throughout the state to collaborate to create and disseminate public service announcements to highlight the dangers of and advocate against the use of illegal fireworks in order to protect the health and safety of the community, pets, and wildlife. Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, Chair Okai for the vote.
Members, we're going to vote on both of these resolutions, SR 36 and SCR 48 at once. I vote yes. Senator Elefante.
Aye.
Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes.
Aye.
Senator Awa is excused. Chair, your recommendation is up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next up is SCR 109 and SR 91, urging the United States Congress to adopt the Social Security Act 2100 Act. Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Any further discussion? If not, Chair Okai.
Again, members, we're going to vote on both of these resolutions at once. And the chair's recommendation is to pass unamended, noting the presence of all members except for Senator Awa. Any opposition or reservations to the chair's recommendation? I'm seeing and heard none. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next up is SCR 95, SR 81. This is urging state departments. This is encouraging the United States Congress to pass the Nurture Originals, Foster Art, and Keep Entertainment Safe Act of 2023, No Fakes Act, and the No Artificial Intelligence, Fake Replicas, and Unauthorized Duplications Act of 2024, No AI Fraud Act. Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, Chair.
Of the members present, any opposition or reservations to the chair's recommendation on these two resolutions? I've seen and heard none. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And our last two items is SCR 197 and SR 169. This is urging state departments to require households impacted by the Lahaina fires to exhaust their insurance policies before requesting financial support from the state. Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, Chair.
Of the four members present, any opposition or reservations to the chair's recommendation, we pass both these resolutions unamended. Having seen and heard none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have one more agenda. This concludes our business for the 301. We are adjourned.
Thank you for your patience. We're convening the Committee on Public Safety, Intergovernmental and Military Affairs for our 302 agenda here in room 225 on this March 28th. We have two measures on this agenda, Senate Concurrent Resolution 196, as well as Senate Resolution 168, applying to the United States Congress to call an Article 5 convention to propose certain limited amendments to the United States Constitution. First on our testifiers list, we have Mark White from the Convention of States.
Yes, aloha, Chair and members. Thank you for this hearing. I'm Mark White from Waikele, Waipahu. I am the State Director of Convention of States Action, Hawaii. And to make you afraid to move forward, much of what you may hear in opposing testimony today is just not true. You'll hear about the runaway convention, that an Article 5 convention has no boundaries. That's not true. Some 40 interstate conventions have been held throughout our history, and not one has ever exceeded its scope. And these meetings of sovereign states have always operated with guidelines much like the rules of our own state legislature. You'll be told the delegates of the convention of 1787 exceeded their authority. Well, that's false, because we've read the actual commissions given them by their states to, quote, discuss all such alterations and provisions as may be necessary to render the federal constitution adequate for the exigencies of the union, unquote. The Convention of States can only propose, not change the Constitution. Each proposed amendment must have a supermajority support of the American people to then be ratified by 38 states. I strongly urge passage of SCR 196. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Sorry, I forgot to make an announcement at the beginning that we're going to limit testimony for each individual to 2 minutes. Next in our testifiers list is Brett Colbus from COS Action Hawaii.
Chair Wakai, committee members, my name is Brett Colbus. I'm a 26-year Navy veteran and the COS Action Hawaii State Grassroots Coordinator, representing over 9,000 petition signers and supporters here in Hawaii. Mahalo for holding this hearing for the vitally important Convention of States Resolution SCR 196. I fully support its passage. It is always disappointing when solutions are readily available but not embraced because of fear from misunderstanding. When the founding fathers wrote the Constitution, they intended the state governments to check the power of the national government they created. Article 5 is that power, and you as state legislators were given the sole responsibility to use that power to call a convention of states and even to ratify any proposed amendments that may come out of a convention. I implore you to use it. I will close with this question for you to ponder. How can we simultaneously say we love our children while betraying their generation and the generations yet unborn? That is all, standing by for any questions.
Thank you, Brett. Alberto Lono, excuse me.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Aloha, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Alberta Lono, District Captain of House District 25. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. As you know, there is opposition of Article 5 Convention of States, and that's because they are opposing out of fear. Fear of a runaway convention, or fear of getting rid of the Constitution altogether. You know what I'm afraid of? I'm afraid for my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, that they will end paying a debt they didn't ask for. I'm afraid for parents losing their rights to what their children are being taught in school and being threatened with persecution. I'm afraid that money are being printed for $6 trillion out of thin air. And who's going to pay for that debt? Again, our children and grandchildren. My fears are not imaginary. They are real. They are happening right in front of our own eyes. And in closing, it's time to do your duty. Advance this resolution. If not, then when? When do you finally say enough is enough and agree to use a measure granted to you by the founding fathers of our Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alberto. That might be giving us feedback, so if you're gonna testify, maybe we just try this mic. Let's see. Oh,
Okay.
you're good, Alberto. But for the folks that coming up to testify, we could probably try this microphone. We have Chandra Richmond.
Aloha, my name is Shannara Richmond. I'm a Convention of States volunteer. I live in Eva Beach, and I support this resolution. Thank you for hearing my testimony. That omnibus bill was the last straw for me. We are now facing a national debt that is impossible to repay. To assume that you are not aware of this is an insult to your intelligence. Americans suffer while DC politicians become multimillionaires on a government salary. What Washington, D.C. is shoving down our throats is fiscally impossible. Everyone knows this. It's so obvious. We can't help but wonder what are the real motives of those who blindly voted for this. It's clear Washington, D.C. doesn't care about America, and it has zero interest in fiscal accountability. Our federal government is severely broken, and it will not and perhaps cannot save itself. It's time for state legislators to step up to the plate and assume the responsibility that was given to them by our founding fathers. Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution gives the states a solution, a way to amend the Constitution that can protect we the people from this irresponsible, self-destructive federal tyranny. The Convention of States might be the only option we have left to save our republic. It is a solution that can create a sustainable economic future for our grandchildren. Please pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richmond. Rita Kama Kimura.
Chair, committee members, my name is Rita Kamakimura. I'm from Central Oahu, that would be Mililani. I am here today to ask you to support this resolution. Simply put, our founders were geniuses. They knew the hearts of men because they created within the Constitution Article 5. I look at Article 5 as the fourth arm of the government. You might say that it gave us the people a voice through you. Our founders were aware that at some point, Congress might need to be reined in and reminded of their limited power and responsibility. Now here they were given unlimited power. Whether their fiscal irresponsibility, which has been grossly abused by both parties with a total disregard for the struggling taxpayer, or the overreaching federal government into areas that were meant for state control and without the federal government interference, such as education. I believe the founders felt elected officials should serve a limited number of terms, and then return to their private lives to live among the people they had promised to serve and to live under the laws and regulations they had implemented. This has not happened. All these areas have been abused and it must stop. The first step is to call for a convention of states. So I'm here to ask you to support and pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Lorraine Nip.
Mr. Chairman and committee members, my name is Laurie Knipp. I am a COS volunteer. Washington, D.C. is no longer functioning. Americans are tired of seeing a Congress who continues to spend unchecked and leaves our southern borders wide open. Only two pathways going forward exist. The first pathway, Congress must fix itself, but we know it won't. The second pathway is Article 5. It was written so that our nation could avoid tyranny from ever happening in our country, but we do see tyranny in the form of government overspending and government overreach today. The founding fathers wrote Article 5 specifically to provide a necessary fourth check and balance onto the federal government itself. It gave the power back to the states, allowing it to propose amendments to the Constitution that would return sound government back to us again. We respectfully ask for your support for SCR 196.
Thank you. Ms. Nick. Blanca Larson.
Aloha, distinguished chair and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on SR 196 and the companion SR 168. My name is Blanca Larson and I come from District 45, West Side. I am here in support of this resolution and its companion because we need to bring the power back to the people, to restrain federal abuse of power by applying for a convention in accordance with Article 5 of the United States Constitution for we, the people. We impose federal restrictions on the federal government, limit the power and the jurisdiction of the federal government, limit the terms to office of federal officials and members of Congress. We, the people, need to take back our power because the politicians don't listen to us. The federal government has failed us, the people. We are tired. We are tired of being ignored. Our voices are not being heard by politicians who continuously introduce bills that hurt our community instead of helping. We want accountability and we want to be heard. We have to care for our state, our people. We have to bring power back to the people. Mahalo. This resolution, please pass this resolution. Mahalo and God bless.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Before we go to Zoom, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to testify in this measure? Yes, please come forward.
Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. My name is Scott Shedko. I am an ordinary citizen from Kaneohe. I'm sorry, Mr. Ava isn't here today. I think the Convention of States is an interesting idea. I'm just learning about it. You have probably read it, having pledged to uphold the Constitution. I've read the Constitution, but I've glossed over Article 5. So one thing I like about it is that each state gets one vote. So what a great opportunity for us, a state with 1.4 million people, to have the same influence as New York, Florida, Texas, even California with their 39 million population. It seems like it's supported by quite a few leaders from both parties, and that's also a rare opportunity. Washington is sinking deeper and deeper into their own quagmire. They're not going to fix themselves. Time is short. Let's try to be part of the solution. Let's be courageous and let's make history. Please pass this resolution.
Thank you, Scott. Sheldon.
Hello, I'm Boyd Reedy. I live in Haleiwa. I'm for this resolution. I really appreciate you taking the time to hear it. I think it's been 5 years since it's been heard in this legislature. Let's take a step back. The government was formed by the states. We're called the United States. And the one thing in the Constitution you can't change is the 2 votes for each state in the Senate. That's the one thing you can't change. That was required. However, the 17th Amendment took your power to direct your 2 senators away and gave it to the popular vote. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it did reduce the power of the states. The only last power you've got is Article 5 convention, which is not a direct power, it's indirect. It says we can convene 3/5, and 3/5 can propose amendments for 4/5, for 3/4 to pass. So it doesn't take any implementation immediately. However, your delegation is chosen by the legislature. You could have them popularly elected or choose them how you like. And when they vote in this thing, each delegation gets one vote. Each state gets one vote. So you have the voting power of a big state. So this puts the power that was given away in the 17th Amendment back when necessary to the states. So I think it's, even if you don't agree with the three main things they want, the term limits, balanced budget, and restrictions on the overweening power of the federal bureaucracy, I think all those things are needed. But even if you don't agree with any of those, it behooves us to be a participant in a historical event like this, where the states say, you know what, finally, yeah, we have a say. The states have a say in the federal government. Otherwise, the only way an amendment comes out is if the Congress, by 2/3 vote, puts an amendment to the people. That's the only way. And they're not going to amend to have term limits. And they're not going to amend to restrict the federal government. So take your chance, whether you agree with the purposes or not. It's not going to run away. I'm a registered parliamentarian. It's part of common law. That's how you run these things. It's not going to run away. So please do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to testify? Yes.
I don't even know what district I live in. I do vote. I live near Alamoana, and I just wanted to, and I was very impressed with what the arguments of the last two speakers. As a smaller state, this is an opportunity for us to punch above our weight and legally. And I mean, and that it's a very, and also about the 17th Amendment. I agree with him that state authorities, power was taken away from them. And the only, as the last two said, is an Article 5 convention. Otherwise, we will have a federal bureaucracy that will do whatever it wants. And whether you disagree with the points that are supposed to be the key issues at this convention, you have an opportunity as a smaller state to have your voice heard. And so that's all I have to say. I think it's a really great argument.
Could I get your name? Lucas Wheeler. Thank you, Lucas. Is there anyone else in the room that wishes to testify on these two resolutions? If not, we're going to go to Zoom and hopefully be joined by Robert Fitzgibbons. IT is Robert Fitzgibbons.
No, Robert is not available on Zoom, but we have Mark available.
Okay, welcome, Mark. Oh, Mark.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, esteemed Vice Chairman, esteemed members of the committee. It's an honor to be here with you today, and I'm the president of Convention of States Action, the national organization behind this movement. I have to say, coming here at the end of these testifiers is very humbling. I almost don't belong there. You've heard from so many great citizens of Hawaii. I feel like a little bit of an interloper coming in. I'm coming to you because I am an expert on the Article 5 process of the Convention of States Resolution. I've led this organization for over 10 years. I've testified in most of the legislatures around the country. And so I offer myself as a resource to you, and I'm happy to take questions. One main point that I'd like to make with you, and something that I'm especially impressed with and proud of Hawaii and your legislature, this is a very bipartisan resolution. You'll note there are multiple Democrat sponsors in the Senate, multiple from both party in the House and Senate. There are very few things that we can agree upon in this country today. It seems like everything is contentious. And yet when you look at this issue, it is common ground among most people. People believe, over 85% of the polled public believe that there should be term limits on Congress. Over 85% believe there need to be some kind of financial restrictions on the federal government. And about 3/4 of the population believes that in some way, shape, or form, we need to restrain the scope, power, and jurisdiction of the federal government. For me, the idea is to return the power over Hawaii to Hawaiians, to make sure that all the funds that come to Hawaii are Hawaii's to spend how Hawaii deems fit. I trust Hawaiians to govern Hawaiians. Mahalo. Thank you for allowing me to testify today, and I'm happy to stand for any questions.
IT, is there anyone else via Zoom joining us?
No other testifiers.
Okay. Members, any questions for those online or in the audience? No? Okay, we're going to take a brief recess prior to taking the vote. Thank you for your patience. We're reconvening the Committee on Public Safety, Intergovernmental, and Military Affairs to take a vote on these two resolutions, SCR 196 and SR 168. With the overwhelming testimony all in support, the chair's recommendation is to pass both of these resolutions out as they are. Any discussion?
Yeah, two points. I don't know if we actually need to move the second one because it doesn't do any good, because if the SCR doesn't pass, nothing happens. Is that right? It has to pass both houses, I believe. Right. So I don't know if there's any point. If you want to, obviously you can, but it doesn't make any difference. The other thing is I'm going to do good with reservations because I don't have any I don't agree with the three things that are in there. I would want to put in overturning Citizens United, clarifying the Second Amendment. I could probably come up with some more stuff later, but I don't really view any of these as being Article 5 convention problems. Having said that, I'm not afraid, like most liberals are, of the Article 5 convention, because I agree with you guys that there are checks and balances on it, that it would be very difficult. If there was going to be a runaway convention, the Congress already has like 75 or 80 petitions that have come in, and they don't glom them together. They have to be exactly the same petition. So I'm not worried about the convention itself, but I would have different priorities. So that's all a very long way of saying I'll vote WR.
Any further discussion? If not, Senator Elefante, I vote yes.
Chair's recommendation on SCR 196 and SR 168 is to both pass unamended. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye with reservations. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes.
So since I think the SR doesn't do anything, I'll vote no on that and yes on the SCR if that's okay.
Okay, so up on SCR, still with reservations?
Reservations.
Okay. And then Senator Rhodes is no vote on SCR 168. Senator Awa is excused. Mr. Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Congratulations.